today, Brady.
All right. Well, there it is.
What do you say? What's your thing?
We're live.
We're live. It's kind of your thing, man.
Once again, we're live.
Yeah, it's
Welcome to the show.
Like every one of them starts that way, and we're live.
Yeah. Well, they have to know.
It's gonna be a meme at some point.
People have to know. All right, and I have to tell them.
Well, they wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have clicked on it. And be like, oh,
if I didn't say it, how are they gonna know? But we're here. We're live.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
It's early. It's early.
It is early. It's
we don't normally do it this time, but we're doing it today.
But here we are. Yeah, it looks like it's all working, all up to par. So you haven't heard about this story that I have up on the screen
this
here.
Is gonna be
Tim Pool
cool
got
and interesting.
swatted live on the air.
Swatted. Like attacked? Somebody attacked?
So, well, you don't know what swatting is?
No.
Okay, so swatting is essentially when you'll have somebody doing a live stream, right? And so somebody will call the police. And so they'll figure out where you are, right? Because there are ways to do that. Mm-hmm. So they'll figure out where you are, and they'll call the police, and they'll say, and like in this case, that I guess here it says in the story what the guy did. Let's see. Yeah, so someone called in, said his name was Nicholas Bell. And he claimed that he shot his wife and he was about to kill himself.
Oh, wow.
And they give their address, right? And so the idea is people do this so that the SWAT team shows up to someone's house when they're live on air. And this has happened a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, but it's happened quite a few times to some people. And it's actually really, really fucked up. Yeah, I know somebody... got a lot of jail time at one point because they got caught doing it. It's almost like attempted murder by proxy because, you got to think about the situation, right? So first off, you have somebody who has no idea what's going on, right? They're just doing a live stream. Sure. And then you call the police and you lay out this high tension situation where people's lives are at risk or maybe some people are already dead. And so the police show up to this situation. Their adrenaline's pumping because they got to take it seriously, right? You got to take this seriously. Of course. So then they're gonna
it's like a bomb scare.
So they're gonna, and this is what they do. Like they'll kick the door in, guns pointed out and everything. Get on the ground, get on the ground. If you don't know what's going on and you don't react right in that moment, you could easily be shot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And brutal, so fortunately in this situation for the Tim Cass crew, that they kind of have a big thing going now. Yeah. There's a lot of employees at the house, and so one of the employees kind of
intercepted the police.
Kind of saw the police coming up and went out and talked to them, and the police still had to they had to go into the house and search and make sure everything's all right. Yeah. But because there were people around, it kind of de-escalated things, and so nobody got hurt, thankfully. Yeah. But someone could have easily got hurt. Wow. And they were talking about how Ian, one of the guys on the show, he sometimes he'll have to get up and pee, and because of where his I guess they have a bathroom in the room, but I guess because of the convenience, he'll have to leave the room and go down the hall to a different bathroom because it's instead of going around the table or whatever. And so he'll sprint full speed to be as fast as possible, right? Because they're live. And they were saying like,
so hold on, sorry, he sprints and you just saunter.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, see how
absolutely.
Yeah. At least
I saunter.
He's considerate. That's fine. Go ahead, carry on.
Listen, they get a lot more viewers.
True.
But so basically, he was saying like, imagine what would happen if it was a small thing, like I guess it was, or a smaller thing, like it was maybe a year ago when they didn't have. Yeah, like ours, where maybe there's only a couple people in the house, and they were all like in the room for the live stream, like this, and the police had entered the building because they thought that there was a situation, and then just fucking a guy just starts sprinting down the hall.
Moves the wrong way or something. Yeah, exactly.
He could easily end up dead.
Sure.
And then, so this is.
It's this happened. It's just it sounds like stupid shenanigans like we used to do when we were kids, right? Like But ours were like kind of fun and harmless. They weren't like
this is putting people's lives in danger.
Like the worst thing I did was like call cabs and throw eggs at them when they came by and stuff. Like sorry cabbies. Listen, I will apologize on camera now for the shenanigans I used to pull against cabbies. Ask my buddies about that. It's fun. We used to call there's 3 cab companies.
It's messed up.
In our town, we won't say where it is for anybody who's watching who doesn't know. In our town, there was 3 cab companies at the time. And I would call all 3 to the same place, like to an apartment building beside mine for the same apartment. And when they went by, we would throw eggs at them from my balcony. And then they would get there and they would arrive very close to the same time. And it was hilarious because they would all like talk to each other. They'd be like, what apartment you got? I got 403. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's all the same. And,
and we ambush them.
Eggs come out of nowhere.
Ambush them with eggs. That's mean, but mean-spirited. Yeah,
whatever. It's not. No one's life was put in danger. Like what's happened here, and that. There's a wider implication that it could very well have something to do with the fact that they just the day prior had Marjorie Taylor Greene on.
Yeah.
And she's a very controversial political
Did you watch
figure.
it?
Yeah.
How was that podcast? She's a little weird.
But she's got a lot of reasonable things to say.
I think she's normal weird. Like she's weird. She's not like, way out, but she's a little weird. I mean, she was into the QAnon thing, and then she flip-flopped off that, and like she seems
which
very
is respectable.
Yeah, but she seems a little impressionable in that way. I don't know.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah. My impression over here.
Yeah, she actually was making an interesting argument where she was saying that what's going to happen is, and we've kind of already seen them kind of start moving in this direction, is they're going to try to disqualify, Trump and other politicians that they don't like by kind of trying to tie them to this January 6th thing, sort of accusing them of being terrorists or whatever.
January 6th, the thing that never goes away.
Well, yeah, which is insane, but...
Need something else to happen on January 6th. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That's awful. I don't want anything bad to happen on January 6th.
What if something good happens?
It's not going to... you don't replace good things with bad things.
No one's going to care.
It has to be a worse thing to replace a bad thing.
And which won't take much because it really wasn't that bad.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, but they're in their little way of making it the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah, that's...
No, I'm not saying it was a good thing. Of course it wasn't a good thing, but it was just...
It happened.
Yeah. It's
and I mean, the fact that they're trying to tie politicians to it, like they're trying to say that Trump instigated it when he was like doing the opposite.
Trump's one of those guys that unfortunately, because he was anti-establishment to some degree, he got himself... I want to frame this correctly for anybody who's watching this Trump fan. I'm not necessarily a Trump fan or not a Trump fan. I'm a fan of certain things of him and not of other things of him. I just think he's a normal guy. But I think his problem is that when all that was happening, instead of completely denouncing it, it was like half denouncing. Like he does that a lot of the time where it's like he says it. He could just very clearly have said, look, guys, just go home. Don't do that. But he was like, you're patriots, and and he's saying all this kind of stuff because he's trying to play to both sides.
I'm pretty sure he did say, go home.
Well, he did.
He said at a certain
we love
point,
you,
he went up and he said, go home.
I know, but hold on. But he was also saying, like, he was justifying that the election was rigged. Instead of saying any of that, at that point, he should have said none of that. He should have just said, look, stop this shit, go home. And leave that other bit of the speech for another time. Like, leave it for tomorrow. But not right there. Like, he had to get it all out in that same thing. And I think, and that's where you can take a soundbite from what he said there and go, oh, look, he's supporting it, or he pushed it, or
use it to use it as propaganda, right?
And that's
sort of turn people against each other.
And that's his thing, right? Like, it's like, I mean, they do it with everybody, but it was easier to do with Trump, it seems, because
he's more bombastic.
Right. He just says stuff off the cuff.
He's less calculated about what he's saying.
Yeah,
he's just kind of say it as it is.
Kinda, right. And they can just steal a piece of it and go, oh, well, he said this. Yeah. I've got friends that still say that he supported white supremacists and all this. And
but those people at this point, they're just idiots.
I know. Well, they're watching CNN. They watch the one clip and they go and they just hear that regurgitation.
They watch the edited clip, right? Because if you listen, like literally the sentence that he spoke was something along the lines of,
they were good people on both sides.
There were good people on both sides. And then, I'm not talking about the white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Yep. Those people should be condemned wholly or entirely.
Yep. They just added that part out, and they leave.
They just stop it at there were good people because he did a good thing. He was saying, hey, you as an American citizen, you have a right to protest something. And there were a lot of people that showed up to voice their opinion on whether or not a statue should be removed. And he's like, hey, there are good, very peaceful people here. And then there were people who were not so peaceful. And he specifically called them out. And he specifically specifically called out the white nationalists and the Antifa people, but they don't like that because the Antifa people, the media's on their side, which is
I know, it's
horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. Like we know that all the editing that they do is gonna paint somebody in whatever light they want. You've seen Ping Trip, right? Have I told you about this guy? Yeah, that guy's a wizard for one. He's an editing wizard. But imagine if you never watched a Joe Rogan podcast, but you happen to catch a Ping Trip video. You'd think Joe Rogan was nuts, number one, because half of those videos,
if you're not aware of what he's doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it looks so good. It looks seamless. Like it looks like that's what's actually happening. He edits it so well, right? So if anybody watching that can't sort of discern the idea that that's happening, but by CNN and Fox News and all the different major media conglomerates, they're crazy. And of course they're doing that to support whatever narrative that gets them viewership. Right. Clickbait bullshit.
Yeah. Speaking of clickbait bullshit, that's probably a good
segue,
because I don't know if there's much more to say about this other than it's horrifying that people would do this sort of thing, and it's a very high profile individual that just happened to, and thank God nobody got hurt. And there are some, they do have some interesting points about how the police may not have had the right to enter their home, or how they shouldn't have the right to have entered their home, and because one, they didn't have a warrant, and they said well, due to the circumstance you have a right, but apparently there's there's audio on the police radio where they were saying we're pretty sure this is a swatting, because the police know about this phenomenon by now.
Of course they do.
It happens a couple times. You got to know about it.
Even though I didn't, they know. I'm sure.
Yeah, but obviously it's definitely a need to know thing if you're in law enforcement. So there's some interesting rights questions about.
It's a gray thing, right? It's a gray area. Like, how do you? And then if they're wrong and it's not a swatting and somebody gets killed or something, then they're on the hook the other way. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario.
Yeah,
right?
it's definitely up. That's why I would argue for personal responsibility. You protect you and protect your home.
But
people should not be leaning on the government for that sort of thing.
If we have cops that don't overreact. And we understand.
I don't think we're ever going to have that though, right? Because you got to think about, it's
high stress situation.
It's a ridiculous thing to ask, somebody to go into a high stress situation and not possibly make the wrong choice.
But what we need to do, and I've said this before, we need to do better testing in higher stress situations for cops all the time to see what type of people they are.
Well, that's why.
And number two, we should get them the top of the line equipment as far as defense equipment. Armor them up like crazy. I don't care if they look like friggin' robots when they're walking. I want to make sure that a cop doesn't get killed.
Scare people, but
too bad.
Yeah,
you know what?
It depends on a lot of things, but
make them RoboCops.
Jocko Willink makes this was a couple of years ago. I think it was on Rogan a couple of years ago where he brought this up. Where he's so for anyone that doesn't know, Jocko Willink is a Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL. I guess his big thing was the Battle of Ramadi in Afghanistan, where he led SEALs. And he now writes children's books and has a podcast. And
that's pretty funny.
Teaches people how to be. Well, his book is called Warrior Kid. It's like a counterculture thing to the woke stuff.
Yeah,
it's teaching people how to be.
It just sounds funny that
I know.
Navy SEAL is
he makes
writing children's
former
books.
Navy SEAL. Oh, you look at a picture of him. He's a gorilla, and he's writing children's books.
The puppy came in the room.
Puppy. Yeah, he's an intense guy. But, so he was talking about, I think with Joe Rogan a couple years ago, about how law enforcement should be. They don't do this, right? Like you do your training, and then you get your badge, you get cleared and everything, and then you're on the force, and then it's good. Yeah. He said they should be training like a couple weeks every few months. A couple weeks out of maybe every quarter. Yeah. Have a couple weeks of training so that they're constantly upping. They're constantly, new tactics, new things. They're constantly refining their skills. Working on things. Even if they're good at what they do. it can never hurt to practice, just so that they're in the best possible shape to deal with situations. And they don't do that. They don't do that at all. There's hardly any training that they do.
I think it comes down to technology. Number one, if we had better technology for one thing, a lot of police's job is doing reporting and such, right? So they got to report different things. So imagine if they didn't have to spend all this time reporting, recording all the shit that's happened, right? Number two, having better non-lethal weaponry, teaching them how to deal with stressful situations, all that kind of stuff. And you're right, like it should be basically half and half. Half the time you're out on the field doing
I think that's
stuff.
exactly what Jocko was saying. It should be something like 50-50, 50% training, 50% in the field. Because I think that's similar to what they do in the military.
I'm sure it is.
Something like that. So we'll switch over, maybe a bit of a hard segue now, but we'll go over to this CNN,
oh, God.
Joe Rogan video that he posted on his Instagram. This is from a while ago, right, when Joe Rogan caught COVID. But you should be able to see on the screen there. Yeah, it's going to be lagging a little bit, but I'll just pause the video. You don't actually need to see the video being played.
Yeah, we don't need to see the video. I think anybody's...
Let's give Joe Rogan a better face than that. There we go.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so you can clearly see what's going on here. CNN has...
He's dead on the top one.
In a very serious... oh, boy. It went away.
What?
In a very serious way, I think we got to keep it up. Okay. In a very serious way, they have edited his appearance to make him look like he is dying.
No, dead. He's dead.
Dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, like...
He got better. He took ivermectin, and he came back to life.
See, the bottom one is after he took ivermectin.
After he took the horse dewormer. Yeah.
But if you look at the headline, you see that's what they're trying to do here, right? I think there's two perspectives that they're trying to make you take when you look at that video.
Right.
The first one is you're going to look at him and he looks deathly ill, and so you're like, oh my God, COVID is, because Joe Rogan is known for being this really healthy guy. So he gets COVID and he looks like that. People are like, oh my God, this is very serious. And so they're going to be more in support of government authoritarianism. And I think the other thing is because of the headline with ivermectin, is they hope that you look at that and you'd be like, oh my God, he's a lunatic taking alternative medicine and it's killing him.
Yep.
Even though it's completely fake because it's edited.
Yeah.
And, Joe Rogan got
better. I love how
and this is like a day after he got COVID too. I think in this video.
Yeah, I love that they say that right there in the line. Praises horse dewormer.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure in this video, it was like a day after he had gotten it. I think he was already talking about how he was feeling better.
Yeah. He says he basically was down for a day.
He was down for a day,
yeah.
And then he was like a little bit sick, and I think he was working out after a couple days.
He said about 5 days total of the round sort of trip of being sick. But he didn't even feel that sick for most of it.
Which is,
you know what? Everybody by now knows kind of both cases. They know somebody who's gotten very sick, or know of somebody who's gotten very sick with COVID, or like the original sort of strains, and now know of people that maybe have it now and don't see it. Like they're not really having much of a effect. Like literally, Prissy's one of her friends just got it and has no symptoms. Yeah.
You hear this all the time. You hear about this athlete got COVID or this celebrity got COVID, and then you don't hear anything of it because a couple of days later they're fine.
Yep.
A couple of days later they're back. They're up and normal.
And this isn't to diminish the fact that people are dying from this. And people die from the flu every year too, and people die from a lot of different things. But what I'm saying is, my point is on this is that it's the hard sell that it's so bad. I mean, if it's bad, it's going to sell itself bad. Like you don't need to sell it. You don't see them broadcasting, hey, don't eat shit. Okay? Don't eat it. It's just like, trust me, don't eat it. They're like, and then they're showing bad pictures of shit. No, shit looks like shit. It smells like shit. Probably tastes like shit. We don't need to be told, don't eat it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's so weird. It's propaganda. I never realized that we were going to live through propaganda. but we are
in an extreme way.
Yeah,
like in an extreme way, which
you
is
got to figure though.
frankly
This is
terrifying.
It's almost 100 years after the Nazis did this shit.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
Well, it's a generational theory. You know,
Yeah.
we've talked about this before. The generations are about 20 years long, and roughly every 80 years we enter some kind of serious situation.
Yeah.
Usually some kind of war or something. And
Don't look at your phone and lose your thought.
no,
That's what's
hold on.
happening. You're looking at your phone, you're losing your train of thought. Your phone is propaganda. Yeah, it's, we've talked about this before. It's one of these things where the way to control people obviously is through fear.
Right.
We've known that forever. It's not a new thing. They've just gotten better at it now. This fear porn, but I think they've doubled down too much. I think the internet and I think alternative streams of information is what's gonna kill them, because people will see this shit and then somebody puts something like this out and goes, look, here it is. This is exactly what they did. And people go, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people that are just going to double down. They're going to be like, oh, no, I trust CNN. Like, they'd never do that. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? It's clear why they do it. It's sensationalization.
Right, they're trying to scare you.
Right.
They're trying to push a narrative, and they want you to think a certain way about certain things.
Now, whether we can debate all we want about what their true objective is, but it's obvious that they're trying to scare people in this. It's obvious that they have an objective. We just don't know necessarily what it is. It might be money. It might be some kind of control. Who knows? But either way, you can't trust somebody that's or an entity that's pulling this bullshit. What is your phone telling you?
Oh my God!
Your phone is
My
blowing
parents
up.
got a cat.
Oh, jeez, man, we need to talk about that. Remember I told you about the cat with personality?
My mom sends me this.
That's a cool cat, by the way. That's a cool looking cat.
We had a cat. He died. Well, he lived a long life.
Cats die.
I was in grade 2.
Oh shit.
I think when we got him, and so I basically grew up with him. And then I think he got old and got sick a couple of years ago. They had to put him down, but I guess now they got another one.
See, I always say this, and this sounds crass and awful, but hey, a pet's like a friend you get to watch die. It's amazing. I don't understand it. Like, I love animals. Like, my favorite videos are the dodo fucking videos on Facebook and shit that come up. I love those videos because I love animals. But the idea of buying like a dog or buying a cat and then falling in love with this little thing, and then you got to put it down at some point,
that's hard,
or it dies.
That's hard. Yeah, that was.
I'm buying a dog when I'm like, I don't know, maybe 65. If I live to like 65, 68, 70, somewhere in there, I'm buying a dog. The reason why is because I'm going to outlive, or that dog's going to outlive me. I mean, the poor dog's going to have to bury me. Or eat me.
You're going to flip the script. It's going to be your pet that has to bury you.
Yeah. We'll be trying to outlive each other.
Fucking, it'll be a battle.
Yeah. It is. But I think we can tie up the propaganda bullshit with CNN. But that is hilarious.
Come on.
I love how they had Sanjay Gupta on right away after the.
Right, to double down.
To double down. Exactly.
You know?
Like, it's so clear. Like, I was actually excited when I saw that. When I saw that podcast was coming out.
Yeah.
But like when it's actually, I don't know if I saw it when it was coming out, or I just saw the podcast. Like, I thought it was there. I was like, oh my God, he's going to talk to a fucking CNN guy.
Yeah.
And
which is,
a guy that I kind of, I'll be honest with you, prior to that, I kind of had a little bit of respect for. Because I always kind of thought that he was fairly fair and reasonable. Like in most of the stuff that he would say when he was on CNN, right? It's almost like what I thought Anderson Cooper was like at one time.
Right.
But I think he's...
Until you realize that he's in the CIA. And
basically, yeah.
Well, no, he actually was.
Was he?
I don't know that if he got through fully, but he was like in the beginning, the CIA boot camp kind of thing. I think his family is tied to
That's 100% true? Is that...
Yeah. Watch, we're not gonna
we need Jamie to verify this shit.
Anderson Cooper, CIA. Google might not show it. I have to go to DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. I used to watch CNN. There was a time where I used to watch CNN when I wasn't so.
Is that Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt's a big family.
There's not. No, I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking of Vanderpump or something.
Yeah, he worked at the CIA when he was in college.
Oh, wow.
So, like, how deep he got, whether he was just an intern. I think that's what he would claim if you called him out. He'd be like, oh, I was just an intern there or something.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit creepy that some of our media is involved with the CIA.
I never liked Cuomo or Lamont. I like call him Lamont just to mess with his name. Lamont.
He'll call you a racist.
Yeah, pretty much. Never liked those two. Really, Cuomo. I don't know. He was on.
Creepy.
He was on Bill Maher the one time, and I thought he was okay on Bill Maher. I was like, oh, maybe this guy's okay. Like maybe outside of his show is a bit of a shtick type thing or whatever, right? But no. But Anderson Cooper never really rubbed me the wrong way ever until like CNN started pulling this bullshit, like double the death ticker.
Oh man, that's absolutely ridiculous. Especially now that you know that they were misreporting. They are misreporting deaths. You know. For financial reasons.
Yeah. It's literally like watching fear porn on TV. You're like,
no, it is. It's well, that gets us into a nice hard. That gets us into this topic.
I'm perfectly segueing us today.
You are perfectly segueing us.
I don't even know what I'm doing here because you've set aside the topics we're going to talk about.
I know, and here you are sending us through. So
take us in, Tyler.
So, well, Joe Rogan had the, I forget his name, Dr. Robert Malone, something like that. Yeah. He's the mRNA guy, and they were talking about...
Hold on, you don't just dismiss that. He is one of the guys that
he's
made
like
the platform for the mRNA.
No, he's like the guy that discovered the technology. Yeah, he's the guy, basically invented the mRNA technology.
Well, he was part of the team. He's not the only guy.
Well, he led the team, and it was his... Like it was his research that was doing it. Like he's the guy. He's the guy. Yeah. And they were talking about this concept of mass formation psychosis that, of course, the NPC media is denying now. And it's a very interesting. It's a very interesting concept because it seems to perfectly describe what we're going on. And then you have this situation in Germany that I have up on the screen here, where they took. I guess 700 sheep and goats to be arranged in the shape of a syringe to encourage people to get vaccinated.
Somebody clearly already got that vaccine because there's nothing in the vaccine.
Yeah, there's nothing in that one.
Yeah.
They're calling you a sheep to your face now. Yeah. Like is absolutely like this is beyond parody. You can't write this.
I know,
right? Like you couldn't write this. The Babylon Bee couldn't come up with this.
You know what it's like?
It's
like serial killers when they toy with the cops and they're giving them the information and stuff. Like you're never gonna catch me. This is basically they're saying, look, we are fucking with you. Yeah. You were too stupid to realize that we're fucking with you right now.
Exactly. It's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
It's absolutely hilarious. Really creepy. But so to expand on the mass formation psychosis, I think basically the idea is that there's a lot of uncertainty around some kind of situation, fear, whatever, and it's something that people are fixating on, right? It's something that people don't know about that they're fixating on, and then because they're fixating on it, it's almost like hypnosis. You can lead them in a certain direction by offering them a solution. Mm-hmm. And because they have no idea what's going on and they're fixated on this thing that they're scared about or they're uncertain about, or they have no idea what's happening, they almost go into a state of psychosis where they will follow whoever offers them a solution. They're going to follow them no matter what. They will follow them through hell, just for this vague notion that they're going to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. They're going to fix it, and this is what we see. No one knows what's going on with COVID, at least at first. I mean, there's a lot of now, you can kind of say some things. But
see, I think that was part of the problem too, though, because everybody was well-meaning at first, right? And like people like myself and you, look, when they said 15 days to slow the spread,
2 weeks to slow the spread doesn't seem unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable at all. So we went, okay. So it was a slow burn, right?
Yeah.
It was like you do that, and then when after the 2 weeks, they went, "Oh, they're still spiking. We're gonna extend this," and we all went, oh, "Okay. I mean, all right. Like, it's still too soon to see if it's wrong, so we'll go along with it." And by the time you're done going along with it, you're into months, and you're like, and then all the weak-minded people that will go along very easily with things, or I don't want to say sheep, but sheep-like people. They're convinced by that point. They're like, yeah, no, we're seeing this shit through. we've already gone through a few months. Like, we're not going to back down now.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes if you're doing something wrong, sometimes it's you just scrap everything. You go, okay, no, we built this thing wrong. The foundation's wrong. Knock the whole fucking thing down and restart.
Yeah.
But some people will not do that. They're like, no,
they
we
will
put all this
hold on to
work
it.
into. Let's fix this foundation that we built that is fucked. And that's what's happened here. You got people that just are
with
doubling
this COVID
down
response
and tripling down and quadrupling down.
Psychosis, I think, is the best way to put it, because now it's quite literally, what was the Albert Einstein definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah.
Like we're doing that.
Yep.
It's like, why at this point? Like, we know that lockdowns don't work.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't work. You compare places that were locked down to places that weren't. The numbers were comparable. Like, there isn't a difference.
Yep.
And there might be a slight difference in the benefit of the places that weren't locked down as much, like Florida and Texas and like West Virginia, whatever. Sweden, I think.
Sweden, yeah. Sweden was one of the first.
And so to keep pushing like this, and for people to keep doubling out, for people to, jump on board and be so polarized and be so... I don't know how it was to put it, like, just the way that they talk about it and the way that they treat, like, the unvaccinated, it's evil. It's evil, the way that they do it, how quickly they throw them under the bus. It's quite literally like if you are in Nazi Germany and you're just buying right into the propaganda against the Jewish people. You're like, oh, the Jews, they're unclean, they're dirty, they spread disease, and all that jazz. It's like, it's the same thing. It's almost the same mindset. To where people are just latching onto something, and they're being so, I don't know, it's like they've been given an excuse to be just evil pieces of shit, frankly.
Yeah, I think the difference is luckily that we've seen that before, and there are correlations to that, to the propaganda bullshit that was going on then that caused everything that happened in World War II. Right. I hate to even say it because it's disgusting, so I don't even want to talk about that. Or I hate to even make correlations between the two, because it by making too many correlations to it, I feel like it diminishes what happened then, and it tries to heighten what's happening now.
I would disagree.
This would be the absolute earliest phase of that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody.
I think the parallels need to be drawn specifically because of the fact that this is how it starts.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
Who knows? It's happened time and time again throughout history. People go into these states, and
hold on, but we're speculating on this. This is how it starts. That's a speculation because you weren't there and you don't know how it started necessarily. We have some documentation that it could start that way or could have started that way.
That is how it started. I mean, specifically in Nazi Germany, you had them eerily. They justified separating the Jews from the rest of the people because they spread typhus.
I get that, but separation's a normal thing. Like, you see that shit going on everywhere. You see it with the Uyghur Muslims in China, right?
But it's all the same. It's all the same.
What I'm saying though is like it's
correlating
the two. But correlating the two is implying that the ends are almost going to be the same or attempting to be the same. I don't think it's anything like that. I think this is honestly a money grab. This is a mass money grab, and there's so many people involved in this money grab and having their wheels greased on this, because we're talking about billions, eventually trillions of dollars in these vaccines and all these therapeutics and shit for COVID, which will eventually be another cold. Eventually, it's just going to be something like that.
They're saying it's already less.
It's a little too soon to tell yet, but I mean, it's all everything's pointing towards it. It basically it's moved now from respiratory thing to an upper respiratory.
But I'm going to push back on that, because I think that's a simplistic way to put it, to be like, oh, the comparison is necessarily going to end the same way. It's like, well, no, it isn't. The comparison isn't to necessarily say that it's going to end the same way. The comparison is to say that this is how we go down a very dark, dangerous path.
I don't disagree with that.
That's the point in drawing the comparisons. It's not so much to say, oh, well, if we keep doing this, we're going to, it's going to end in genocide. It's like, well, it doesn't necessarily have to end that way. But, like, at a certain point of bad, it isn't worth saying, well, actually, this is worse than that or whatever. Like, at a certain point, it's like, whether it devolves into genocide or devolves into no one's allowed to leave their home and has to have everything delivered, like, I think that those are comparatively evil.
I don't think they're comparatively evil, but
I think they're comparatively
I think
evil.
they're
at
both
a point
evil.
Where it isn't worth drawing a difference, because it's like, no, these are just places we don't want to go. Like, we don't want to be there, period. Right. So it's like, this is how you get to some place like that. And there's a whole plethora of spots that you can go. You know, you got genocide over here, and then you got like other forms of like authoritarianism over here, or infringing on people's rights that are completely different, but it's in the same sphere of like, let's not do that. Like, this is an evil thing to do. Right. We should not be going in that direction. And it's through this kind of manipulation, this propaganda, this otherizing, us versus them mentality is how we get into these places. And, you know, you see all the parallels, but yet, you know, people refuse to, I think always, no matter how educated they are about history, they tend to refuse to see it when it's happening right in front of them.
No, listen, it's not like I disagree with what you're saying. I just think that you're seeing things as bad as they could be and not for what they are. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't curb stomp this shit quick. Like this could become something like that. It has the potential. I just don't necessarily think that the people that are pushing this bullshit have those kind of evil ends. Like, we're talking about Hitler, who had an absolute vendetta against the Jewish people, to just want to experiment on them and kill them and eradicate them. It was dirty. Exactly. And you're talking about an evil dictator. I don't think we're anywhere near that shit right now. What I think it is, it's just greed. I think it's just a money grab. I think right now the fear porn that we're seeing and all this kind of stuff that's being pushed is to just keep us docile, so we don't fight back. We keep going along with the bullshit that's making a select few a shit ton of money. So I think they'll just keep doing that.
I think it's greed to a certain extent.
It's like they're like putting out little fires.
It's greed that's being pushed by the evil. I think there are people at the top who have no need for resources, who are grabbing at power, who want, you know, like, what was it? I think the Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos, was is like, you know, writing articles about how like lockdowns are a good thing, and so it's like, oh yeah, it's like,
well, he's gonna love lockdowns.
You know, it's not. It's not like the owner of the Washington Post is, you know, wants people to get everything delivered to them and never have to leave their house, right? Like stuff like that. You have, you know, people like Mark Zuckerberg in the metaverse now. It's like they're talking about pods and living in a virtual world. It's like there are incentives that that seem to be more about power now than just resources, because you talk about people who they have the resources, right? There's nothing. Jeff Bezos doesn't gain anything by increasing his net worth anymore.
No, but I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's power. Greed. It's greed. It's that power. I think we can just, obviously we can only speculate on this because we don't have the kind of money to know. But I think when you hit that kind of level of wealth, the money is nothing anymore. It doesn't matter. The money's just part of the game. The game now is power.
There's a certain
it's exactly. Like how much power. Like, I feel like a god with the amount of money I have, but I'm not really a god unless
you're powerful too. Like you're powerful, right? Like, so you're Jeff Bezos. You have like this empire, right? Amazon, however many employees, right? So you kind of you control all of that, but then it's like, I don't know. Like, what does he want?
I know. Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I think.
Does he want recognition?
But I think
does he
these
want to be
people,
king of the world.
Well, these people, like what even Elon Musk is not immune to this, and I like Elon Musk. I think it's legacy now. It's like, how can they sort of live on forever? Like they want statues of themselves because they want to be revered as that they've done so much for humanity.
We're gonna put a statue of Elon on Mars.
Probably.
I think we should do that.
Yeah. But I get it because it's human nature, right? We all want. Some of us aren't chasing power necessarily, but we all want importance. We all want meaning, all of that, right? So some people get meaning from different things. I think the ultra rich, most of them, get meaning from acquisition of wealth and then power that comes with that wealth. Some people, and you're seeing.
I think a lot of people they get wrapped up in the game.
Well, you're seeing people like Mr. Beast, like this kid, that I don't think that's it for him. I think
philanthropy, right?
But I think he gets the joy from doing that. And he's smart enough to see that there is an absolute desire for people to see that kind of thing. People, it's like those dodo videos I was just saying. People want to see touching shit.
Yeah.
Like, you want to see people helping animals. You want to see people helping people.
Right.
And this
It's a
guy has
trade-off too, but-
monetized it.
Yeah, and he's monetized it, but you know what's fascinating is it's like that's maybe 10% of what people really are gravitating towards, right? Because people, I don't know if it's, I don't know necessarily how to think about it, how to conceptualize it, but the fear and division, that people gravitate towards that so much more, right? That's why.
You mean they're motivated by fear as opposed to the other?
Yeah. So like you'll get someone
yeah.
like Mr. Beast that comes along, right? But for every Mr. Beast, there's 100, which there's one of. So probably for every Mr. Beast, there's 1,000 people spreading, us versus them nonsense or fear about something or like this content that kind of singles out certain people. It's like, oh, this kind of person is bad, or this kind of person, or don't act this way, or whatever, stuff like that, instead of like the helping stuff. It's weird.
But I think the good thing about the
it could
trend
be the
that we're seeing,
algorithms pushing that.
yeah, it could
more.
be. But I think the good thing about the trend that we're seeing is a guy that is doing the right thing is getting wealthy and popular.
It is, I think, selfishly motivating people to do the same thing, which is, I think,
is amazing.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's kind of like you talk about like Christianity, right? It's whether a person is good because they want to be good, or whether they're good because they fear going to hell. Mm-hmm. I think the end is the same.
Absolutely, doesn't matter. Who gives a shit about
in the
the motivation?
grand scheme of humanity?
Yeah, look at the act and look what actually comes out of it. Who gives a fuck about the motivation of it, right? If this guy,
exactly,
if this guy herds a whole bunch of other, we'll call them all. I guess we'll call them all shepherds. This shepherd herds a bunch of other shepherds to do what he's doing because they see it's financially and maybe. As far as popularity, it's advantageous for them to do it. Then they'll do it, and it doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck what his motivation is. All I care is that he's helping a bunch of people, or she, or whatever, right? So I like the trend that's creating, and I hope we kind of allow that to be the trend as opposed to bullshit with clickbait crap. I felt like I was shaking the. There we go. Better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was every time I'd shake this, I felt like it was shaking your camera because it was leaning up against the.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. I think.
Mine isn't leaning against the table.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but anyways, yeah. So I do like that. I do like that. Maybe that's creating a whole other little subsection that might gain a lot of traction. And like we've talked about it, we'd love to do that. I would love to do that kind of stuff.
I'd love to give away millions of dollars.
Yep.
Like if I could bring in. I don't know. Doing something like this, you got to have some security.
Of course.
But, if I could bring in $100,000 a year and give away like $5 million, that'd be.
I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't really need a lot of stuff. I was talking about this the other day. Like, I wouldn't even know what to do with like multiple cars.
Yeah.
I'm like, just give me one. Just give me one I like. That's it.
I could have like 3 or 4 cars.
I don't think I'd even want that.
But
I would do like a car share. That would be more something.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, I would probably
just because I don't want to take care of the fucking cars.
Depending on
same with houses and stuff.
On the rules and the sort of restrictions, I'd probably just kind of lease whatever I want and get like a 6-month lease on something.
Imagine you have a fucking I don't know what's a crazy car.
Like a Ferrari.
Sure, you have a Ferrari and I have the top of line Tesla or something. You're like, yeah, fuck, I want to try the Tesla a little bit. I'm like, let's trade. We trade for a week or something, right? Yeah. Like. I'm into the shit like that. I don't need a ton of. I've never needed a ton. I didn't grow up. I grew up poor, right? So I don't care. Like money doesn't mean anything to me. It's a means to.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. Like I've been in a situation, I guess, one time in my life where I was making a shit ton of money relative to anything that I've encountered, and I'd make like $2,000 in a week, just in the stock market, and it'd be like, okay. I didn't see that, and I was like, well, there was a period, we'll say 7 weeks. I think it was 7 weeks where, including my job, my income was something like $100. It would have been $107,000 a year if I maintained it. Because I'm the kind of person that was calculating that, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool because it's so much money. So just like $2,000 a week or something that you're making consistently, and like $1 to $1,500 of that would just be like in the stock market for me. And I never once saw those numbers. I never once, made $1,000 in a week and was like, all right, cool, I'm going to go buy this thing that I want now. Like, there was nothing, there was just no, what's the right, materialistic incentive, right? Like, there was nothing that I was like, yeah, I'll just fucking buy this thing or whatever. It's like, I just never did.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't, I don't need a lot.
It's funny because if I were to sit down and really think of things that I actually want, there's not a lot of things that I don't have already that
with
I
a
would
certain
really
amount of
want.
money.
There are a couple things that I really want, to be honest, like a 4-wheeler. I'd love to have a 4-wheeler, but I don't have the space to drive that.
Yeah, see, well, that's the thing. That's like,
so I would just rent
too,
one
but
if
I
wanted.
want the space, right? So I would
rent
want
a cottage or something.
I'd want like a nice house on a big piece of land somewhere. And it's like, okay, now I have that, and then it's like,
get a few toys.
I guess we'll put furniture in it, right? So that's not cheap. And then, but then after that, it's like, I'm not buying a $300 T-shirt.
I know. Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm not. I might buy, 1 or 2 expensive watches just because.
I'm pretty sure
I kind of like watches, but
pretty sure anybody seeing us knows that we're not like super fashionable kind of guys.
No, exactly. Look how we're dressed right now.
I got an Under Armour shirt on. I think I spent $20 on. So
I'm not.
Hat was a gift.
So it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. That's why I feel like a lot of people who get caught up in that stuff. It's about they get caught up in the game,
the acquisition of
instead of sort of focusing on like, what do you want? Because a certain amount of money that really isn't a lot of money is enough for me, I think, to just kind of be happy, and live, and do
I
kind
used
of what
to be
I
a financial
want to
guy, so I would just if I had a certain amount of money that I had tucked away, like I have a certain amount now, but if I had a certain amount that I knew 100%, if everything fell through, I'm covered. I'm good. That's it.
Yeah.
And that certain amount is not astronomical.
No.
It's really not an astronomical number. Like, so it's
1-2 million.
$1 million. Million's easily enough.
Yeah, $1 million.
Especially at my age now.
If you know what you're doing, if you know what you're doing, $1 million is easy enough. If you don't know what you're doing, 2-3 million maybe. But
I would need a lot less than that because I've got money, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, so the idea of giving the rest of it
I'm just
away,
talking like totals, right?
Yeah. The idea of giving the rest away, I love that idea. Like,
especially if you can like
can't take it with you.
Yeah, especially if you can kind of create a whole system, right? Like kind of like what Mr. Beast does.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the fact that you do that brings in more money, so you can do more of it,
right?
And then you can just help more people. Yeah, it's a whole self-sustaining system that's really cool, really wholesome.
Yeah, I can't say enough about those guys. It's funny because there's one guy on their cast that I really don't. I really don't like. I don't know why. He just rubs me the wrong way, but I'm not gonna say. But I love what they do, right? I think it's funny. They got fun videos. They're wholesome. Nobody's getting hurt or anything like that. They're creating little like bullshit tasks for people to do and stuff. And I just think it's funny. I like watching them. Always. It's funny when you read the comments and you see people like going in there and like begging.
I know.
I fucking hate that.
Yeah, the beggars.
Get out of here.
There's always gonna be people like that, though.
Come on, man. Just let it be pure and let it be wholesome and let him help people and let him do what he's doing. I mean, the one video I watched where he tries to buy out 7 stores. I think it's 7 stores he buys. He empties them out. One of them's a GameStop. Another one's Play It Against Sports. I forget them. Anyways, one was actually a grocery store, and they actually at some point they said they didn't want him to buy anymore.
There's probably like half or something, so there's still stuff for
that's what they said. They said don't buy it all because don't leave the shelves empty for people that have to come in. And he filled up like 7 trucks to
brought it right to a food bank.
To the food banks and stuff. Yeah, I love stuff like that. Obviously, he's helping a ton of people doing that.
Oh yeah. And
some people, it's not the way they want to be helped because some people want the handout. They want like, give me $1 million. Get the fuck out of here. Like, get out of here. But I just like that. I just like that it's like genuine stuff.
Yeah.
He goes somewhere and he's eating something and he leaves a $2,000 tip or something. Yeah. You just made that person's.
You made their day.
You made their year, man. Because
possibly. Yeah, quite possibly.
We'll put it this way. What's the biggest tip you've ever received?
Me?
Yeah.
$50, $100.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, so imagine getting a $2,000 tip.
Yeah.
Like I had a guy that worked for me, got a $250 tip one time when he was a courier. This is when I managed. I sent him back. He was delivering a passport on.
It's gone blurry.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's weird. What is going on there? There you go.
It is going on. Okay, that's weird.
It had to resume, and you're moving around too much. Or it doesn't like the look of you.
I would understand that.
Sorry about that.
I would understand
Sorry
that.
about that. Listen, I'll talk to the camera later.
You just
Anyways, my point. So I sent him back to a delivery. He made a delivery on a Friday for a passport. These people were leaving, I think, on the Saturday or something. I think they were leaving on the weekend. So they really needed it. So I called him. It was at the end of the day, like 4:00, and I said, "Hey, can you go back to this delivery and make a second attempt on this delivery?" No problem. He's like, "Yeah, no problem. It's on my way. I'll do it." When he got there, they were there to accept the package because they need the sign, and they handed him what looked like a $50 bill, and he thought, "Wow, okay." Like he told me, he was like, "Wow, great. I got a $50 tip. It's amazing." He gets in the truck. He opens it up, and there's 200s wrapped in there. So $250 tip.
Yeah.
I thought that's really fucking
nice.
class of those people to do that, because, again, that was the biggest tip we'd seen as far as any courier at that facility, obviously, right? And he was getting a $250 tip.
Yeah.
It made his it made his year, essentially. And it was $250. It's really nothing, but it's just this sentiment of it, right?
Yeah. I've thought about that too, like, because if I ever came into a lot of money.
Keep talking.
All right. You want to grab two while you're over there?
I guess I can get one.
But so I delivered furniture for a couple years, so I know how hard that job can be and how unreasonable a lot of people can be. And I've thought about this, like, as if I ever came into a lot of money, I'd buy a nice house.
By the way, today, sorry, brought to you by
Bud Light.
Bud Light, not Bud Light Lime.
No,
today.
just normal Bud Light.
Yeah.
And so, I'd buy a nice house and I'd go to a store and I'd furnish it. I'd probably just buy it from one place, right, and furnish it. And
sure.
I'd be like, okay, well, what do you do about the guys that come in and put all that stuff in there? And it's like, that's a hard fucking thing, especially that's a shitty day when you're doing one house. Because when you're doing a bunch of houses, like a sofa here, a sofa love seat there, maybe a sofa bed there, a fucking bedroom set here, at least you get the breaks of, travel and all that. So when you're at one place, especially doing a whole thing, that's a hard day. It's like, what are you doing? I'd be like, well, fuck. Just fucking couple grand each. Each delivery guy, just fucking give it to me. Like, hey, thanks. Oh, you guys did a good job. Here you go. Here, fucking buy yourself something nice.
What's the biggest you've ever tipped somebody?
I've ever tipped somebody? I don't know. I don't really think about it that much. Probably $40 or something.
I gave $100 one time.
Depends.
I gave it to the guy. I was on a cruise, and it was the guy taking care of our room, the concierge guy taking care of our room, or whatever you call them. He was so good, so I gave him $100. I did that on another cruise where I gave a bartender
I think I've given
American, by the way, too. So it's.
I think I've given 100% tip before.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a big.
Yeah.
It was maybe like a $40 order, and I just doubled it or something. But
I've done that too. I always talk to people about this because I tip big, but it's on small bills.
Right.
I always say this to people. I'm like, look, I don't have the kind of money where if I'm going out and we spend $400 or whatever, we have a real nice meal and a bunch of drinks and shit like that, and there's a few people or whatever, and it's like $400 or $500 bill or something, and I'm gonna give like a $400 or $500 tip on that. Like, fuck, come on, man.
If you have the means, I would love to.
Right. If I had the means, absolutely. But if, let's say, you and I go to Swiss Chalet or something, and the bill is $35 or something, I can give a $20 tip. And it's a huge tip in comparison to the bill, but it's only $20. So you know what I mean? Like, so I always talk about this with people. It's like a big tip in relation to the bill. It makes people feel good, and it doesn't cost you all that much.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that idea as well. But yeah.
It's I don't know. It's just nice to help people out like that.
I have so many thoughts on this kind of stuff too, right? Like,
many ideas. Anyone watching wants to fund us doing philanthropy?
Well, I've talked about my
Give
idea.
us X dollars. We'll not use any of it on ourselves. We'll do something crazy.
Well, no, listen, no.
We'll film
that's
a
a
video.
lie. No, that's a lie. We're gonna get you a better shirt. Sorry.
I like this shirt.
Nah, I'm sorry, but
I like this shirt. It's a nice shirt.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of funny. You see what it says? I can try to get it in.
Houston, I have so many problems.
Yeah,
you do.
You're one of them.
Yeah,
you're one of them.
Sorry, man. I'll try and be the solve. No, I've told you before about one of my ideas too, to start businesses that were
specifically are just like not for profit.
Not for profit, yeah.
But not like a non-profit, but like where all of the profits
goes back to the employees.
Yeah. Or into the business, right? Depending on how.
Yeah, if you need to put it in the business to build the business, that's.
Well, yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
Wasn't didn't you have an idea where you should you build a house for $300,000 and so you sell it for $300,000 instead of selling it for $1 million, which is that's probably what it is now. People, if a contractor will build a house, it'll cost $300,000 in materials and labor, and then
you do it by square footage, right? So a new home construction before all this was costing around $210 a square foot to build a brand new home, right? That was the cost.
But is that the actual cost, or is that like your cost as a guy who wants to build a home versus if you were a construction company?
The big builders can get it cheaper,
right? Like if you're buying if you're a developer, right? Like so how in Caledonia they're building a whole bunch of just a whole bunch of houses, right? And it's like all the same developer doing it, right?
That's in phase 4 or 5 right now, I think.
Yeah, there's so many. They went up so fast too. But those houses, they're probably going for minimum like $800,000 to $1 million, right? Some of them are kind of smaller, but it's probably something like that given the area. Yeah. Maybe a little lower because maybe a little lower right now, but more rural and it
depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about a townhouse, they might be going for like $650,000 or something. Yeah, but you're right, like it's attached.
So if we're talking averages, because there are some nice houses over there, it's probably average, $900,000 $1 million per house in that they're selling for.
Sure,
and that's in Canadian, by the way. It's not U.S. dollars. We don't know what necessarily translates. So, some people, if you're American, you might think that's a little insane. But it's not quite like that. And I would bet you that they're paying like a quarter per house in materials and labor, maybe even less.
No, it's higher than that.
Are you sure?
100%. I know construction costs. I was in that field for like 3 years, right? Buying stuff. So let's say for example,
even with a mass development project like that,
you can get the costs down maybe 20% on like a mass buy, but it's not much more than that. There really isn't. The markup happens unless you're buying direct from the manufacturer. Let's say like for different things, right? So if you're buying, let's just say the wood, right? If you're buying all the wood from a mill or from a lumber mill or something, you're going direct from them. You're not going through a third party. Sure, you're gonna save, but you're gonna have to buy truckloads and truckloads.
You're probably buying like all, depending on the size, you're probably buying like all of their product for a period of time.
Yeah,
and which you're not going to be able to do because they probably have other customers, right? That
so you're buying like, and they're not going to just. So for example, when I worked, whatever, doesn't matter. When I worked at Convoy, we would do big shingle buys. So we would do a massive buy at a time period. And when I say a massive buy, I mean 200 truckloads of a specific.
Talking millions of dollars worth of
millions of
shingles.
Dollars. Yeah. But they would give you a percentage, and it might be, you might get like a 18% saving on that because you bought it all in bulk like that. But now you've got to store it, and you've got to
and there's cost to that.
Yeah, there's damage. Yeah. There's all kinds of things that happen. That's weathering. We would run into all that kind of stuff. But we do these massive buys. But if you're not doing those kinds of things, you can't really save a lot. And even then, it was the savings didn't equate because by the time you factor in all of the manpower that you have to like offload that, to store it, to move it around, do all that kind of shit, it ends up costing you in the long run. It probably is the savings are washed, or there's a very marginal amount of savings. But so my point is, if it's, let's say it's $200 a square foot, which I'm guessing at this point now it's probably closer to like $300 a square foot.
Everything's insane
to build
right
because
now.
Of what's happening with price of everything.
Lumber's up, labor's up.
Yeah, right. Everything's up. But let's say it was $200. If you're a massive builder like a DeSantis home or something like that, homes, and you bought and you've got like 50 projects on the go, and you're able to buy truckloads and truckloads. Yeah, you might be able to get that down from $200 to like $182 or something, or like $182 a square on the build. But maybe, like at best, like it's really those numbers aren't going down that much. Like phase ones, phase twos, really those companies aren't making a shit ton of money when they're selling the homes. They're probably making $50,000 to $100,000 on each property, but they're making a shit ton of money on like the subsequent phases. Because now what's happened is when they built phase one, the property values have gone up.
Yeah.
From phase one.
People are anticipating phase
right
two
now, so they're buying a new home now. Instead of paying
inflated.
$450,000 for the new home in phase one, now they're paying $600,000, but it didn't cost.
And that's the pre-built prices, right? Those are
Yeah. So the builder doesn't. It's not like
the builder's
that cost
selling it
went up.
before it's even built.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the phase 2 now, they're making $250,000 per home. That's why phase 1s are like everybody tries to buy them up quick because they know that they're going to get a really good deal.
Yeah,
number one, and they get equity on.
Yeah, I got a nice a guy I used to work with when I was delivering furniture. He bought a condo pre-built here where we are. I guess I shouldn't say that. Yeah, well, I don't think it matters, but I won't say where we are. Literally 3 minutes away from where we are now, right? There's
by the water,
right by the water, where there's new buildings.
Yep.
He bought a condo there pre-built. And I think he was telling me he paid like $210 for it, $230, something like that. Yeah. And a couple years later, because I don't know what the time. I'm assuming it's not done yet. But so he bought a house.
I know which ones you're talking about because I was going to buy one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wish I did. I guarantee it's the same ones.
Yeah. So he decided to roll that condo into a house because the same developer was building houses similarly, just a little bit further down the lake. Mm-hmm. Right now, those houses are being built, and I guess I don't remember the price that he paid for the house. But I know that he was saying that he was able, or at that time that he was looking into it, he would have been able to get like $450 for the condo that he paid $210 for, not 2 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that was going on big time in Toronto. I shouldn't say that. Whatever. In Toronto.
Well, okay, Toronto's a big city. We're not in Toronto. We're near-ish to Toronto.
I know. We're like we don't need any
let's
swatting.
narrow it down.
We don't want any swatting coming our way.
We're about an hour away from Toronto, right on Lake Erie, Ontario. I say Lake Erie because I always went to Port Dover in the summer. I grew up in. There
you go. You're putting us. You're telling them where we are.
It doesn't matter. We're in Stony Creek.
We're at this address.
We're in Stony Creek, Ontario. We're
shut up.
We're right by the LCBO.
Shut up, man.
There's like 7 LCBOs.
Yeah, exactly. In Stony Creek, I don't know. But anyways,
it's a big place.
They were doing that in Toronto. They were buying condos and buying apartments and things like that in Toronto, downtown Toronto. And before they were even built, they were selling them. They're flipping and selling them.
I think there are contracts to, like, this particular individual. I think he said that he had to live in it for a year. He wasn't allowed to rent it out or sell it or anything.
It's a principal residence.
I don't know.
When it's a principal residence, you have to. Yeah, and there's a law now. I think they did something where they stopped that.
Yeah, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in some instances you can, but at least in that case you could.
But I know they were doing that in Toronto, and I actually know of. I don't know personally, but I know of somebody. Like I know someone personally who knows someone that had 2 condos, or maybe still does, in like Mississauga or like right by downtown Toronto, and they couldn't rent them.
Man, if they were smart. They wouldn't have them anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I think at the start of the pandemic, when everything tanked and then they couldn't rent them, they were renting for a loss.
Are you saying that they weren't allowed to rent them, or just people didn't want to live there?
I don't think people wanted to live there. That's what I think it was. Yeah. But if let's say their carrying costs every month,
that's like people want to live there. I don't understand why it's not a great area. But
I don't know. Something happened to that whole market down there. I don't know enough about it, but I know that it tanked. And I know in this case,
really,
yeah, I know in this case, let's just say for argument's sake that it was $3,000 a month for the carrying costs for this person for each condo.
Per condo, you're saying?
Yeah, per condo. They couldn't even rent it for that. Wow. So they were renting it at a loss. They're renting it like $2,000 a month, taking the $1,000 haircut a month because they couldn't get rid of it. Number one, and just trying to ride it out. I know a lot of people that do that kind of thing. Like I know I had clients that used to live in the Bahamas. This is when I was an advisor, that had property in the Bahamas after the 2008 tank, and they had like literally land in the Bahamas that they couldn't sell. So they're paying all the property tax on the land, any maintenance in that, but they couldn't get rid of it. Like nobody would even, they tried to sell it at a loss, but they couldn't even get rid of it.
That's crazy.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And they had like 2 other properties that they were renting for like basically cost.
I didn't know that had, like, I know that there are periods of time, right, like in 2008 and whatnot, but I thought maybe since then it's just been, real estate's been pretty.
This was in
liquid.
2014, 15.
Yeah, like when that feels like a liquid time for real estate and property.
Not in Bahamas,
so everything's going up. There's no end in sight. We were a year away from the greatest economy in the last, I don't know how long, 30 years.
Yeah, well, bubble economy.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of good things.
There was I agree. There was
it was a good. A lot of it bubbled.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was an optimistic. That was a product of optimism.
Well, it's not like the deficit didn't go up in that time period. No. It went up huge. But what was happening, conversely, is manufacturing jobs were coming back.
Manufacturing, wages going up.
Wages were going up. So
certain things.
These are things that, like, along with that curve of the national debt going up, or the deficit going up, that at least these other things would offset it long term, right? Mm-hmm. Like you maybe that bubble wouldn't burst as quick, but when you got Biden, I forgot his name for a second. When you got Biden trying to spend,
he's really that forgettable.
Trying to spend $1.9 trillion on a Build Back Better bill.
That's that like half of that's probably just going to go to overseas and into the pockets of politics.
It's
going on paper it's going to go overseas, but really it's going into like some offshore thing that is yeah,
it's pretty silly. So
I thought about doing that, just something stupid like a couple $100 in just everything that Pelosi does.
That'd be funny. Just follow around.
Just see what happens.
Mirror around. Just see what she's doing.
This isn't on the screen yet. I'm gonna pull up.
We're gonna talk a little bit about the.
Yeah, well, we're talking about finances. So I guess while I get this properly,
we really gotta let my buddy Art come on and talk about this stuff. He's a whiz with this shit.
We'll definitely have Art talk about cryptocurrencies. But so what? You think Bitcoin's over or what?
I'm pretty sure it's done as of today.
Well, as of last week.
What's it down today?
It's not really down much today. It was under 41 before we started.
Right. Let's hang up. 760 up.
Yeah.
You're just no.
Well, I mean, this is the live. Yeah. Like it's Bitcoin's always constantly.
Yeah. I don't know. So here's my take on Bitcoin, and this is going to be
controversial.
People are going to think I'm stupid. Maybe.
Well, you are.
Maybe Art.
So they're a little bit right about that.
Yeah, probably.
But
I think that because it was the first and the oldest, I think it's got the sort of the biggest name.
First
right?
and best dressed.
Right. And so people know it and they use it. They buy it. And it's almost like the hedge of them. Like it's the one that people feel the most secure about. It's the same with Ethereum. And there's a couple other ones that are a little more mainstream.
Ethereum's like a better technology, and that's where it gets its.
And that's what I'm saying. And this is you're about to make my point for me. My point is, I think when something better comes along, it's gonna de-seed or dethrone the king, the Bitcoin king, or the Bitcoin king. I mean, so I think it's like we're still kind of in the infancy of this stuff.
Well, what I would say I think is going to happen is I think Bitcoin's going to be like gold.
Yeah.
It's not, people aren't going to be like using it as a currency.
But it'll be like the reserve.
It'll be like the reserve. It'll be like something you put your money into to store it. Mm-hmm. And then, you'll convert your Bitcoin into something else.
So you think it's going to get less volatile?
It might be multiple over time. I do think it might get less volatile.
Well, if people do what you're saying, then it would definitely become less volatile.
Yeah, but I think it'll be less volatile. But it will stabilize. It'll be less volatile, but it will go up because it's deflationary.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and who knows where it'll end up? Because right now it's still being produced and it hasn't really been adopted fully, and who knows whether it'll be adopted more or whatnot. But, so this is the Bitcoin chart for, I guess.
6 months?
Basically. Yeah, what is that? 7, that's July 18th.
August.
July 19th, 2021. Okay. Bitcoin bottomed out at $29,807. Then it skyrocketed again. Now before that, this is where it peaked. It peaked at 67,000, and now since that peak at 67,000, and this is when people are saying 100K by the end of the year. Which I want to do a bit of research into this because I think a trend got broken. I think because there've been a lot of crypto guys like Max Kaiser, who are they're famous for being in crypto and getting rich off crypto, but they have what was that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but they've had these predictions that have pretty much come true all throughout the last 5 years or so. It'll go up to here and then it'll go down and then it'll go up to here, right? And sort of they kind of had the timeline right and very 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 good predictions. And I think one of those predictions was that it would hit $100,000 before the end of 2021, and then that didn't happen. So I think that there might have been something interesting might have happened there, where now crypto has gone rogue from I guess what it was originally, but now since that peak of $67,000, it has only gone down. It's just done nothing but go down.
See,
now it's at 41. Now, yeah, there is some nuance to this,
right?
Because if we pull up the 1 year, is this the 1 year?
1 year, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you pull up the 1 year,
wow,
in
August.
No, that's not the one that I want to pull up. I guess we'll pull up the 2 year.
Oh, you're gonna show it when it was really down?
It wasn't down.
Oh, there was a time where it was.
No. The point is that it's up a lot.
Oh yeah, because it was down at that point, like down to 10 or something.
Yeah, and like this was like it was like when it was at 11, like that was like its peak, right here it's 11,675. Like that was like its peak at that point in time, and then now it's at 41,000. But
no, that wasn't its peak at that time. Go back 5 years, it peaked at 20.
Did it go to 20?
Yeah, in early 2016 or something. There it is, right there, or 18 or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 19,000.
Yeah,
so 2017, then it goes down.
That's when I bought like
here.
XRP.
So, but this chart pretty much.
Yeah.
What? Let's just look at the max chart. This is the lifetime of Bitcoin. Yeah. Wow, it doesn't go below 200. That's interesting. It's up massively, but it has tanked.
That's not the lifetime, is it?
No, it isn't actually.
That's not.
But
for sure.
This, I guess, what Yahoo has.
Because I looked at Bitcoin back in pre-2010.
It was under $1 at one point.
Buddy, I was like, when I was looking at it first, it was on MSNBC and they were talking about it, and I think it was trading around $5 a Bitcoin. I asked my buddy Art about it at the time, and like he didn't know anything about it at that time.
This only goes back to 2015, I guess.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking at here. But
he's the one that got me into it in 2018, I guess it was. Yeah, the start of 18.
Yeah,
the end of 17 into 18. I bought up some XRP. I bought up some XLM, which is Stellar, and XRP's Ripple, and I bought some of these coins and just kind of sat on them. They were going up quite a bit, and I just riding the wave at that point.
Yeah. So what do you think? Is Bitcoin over?
No, I don't think it's over. I think actually
you made all-time highs.
You made a good point there. I never even thought about that. I think you're right.
Only make good points.
You know what? Why do you say stupid shit like that? You said something so wonderful in your it being the hedge, and then you say something completely stupid after that, like that. I think it was a good point. That's what's gonna happen. It'll be like the reserve.
It'll be like gold, essentially. It'll be a
that's really. I never even thought about that. It's a really good point.
It'll be like gold, where people store their money.
But how much of that fucking shit is gone? How much is lost?
What do you mean?
There's so much lost on different hard drives and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean. So, and they'll never know how much is gone.
Hundreds of billions, probably.
That's what I mean. But you'll never know how much of that is actually gone.
Yeah.
It's irreplaceable, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they just go, oh well, it's gone. We're gonna reprint some more. It's gone. But you don't even know it's gone. Like unless you were to like, I guess. I don't know enough about the blockchain to know if they could go into that and say,
you can see inactive accounts.
Yeah.
So you can look and you can see there's this account that has today's value of $100 million worth of Bitcoin, and the account hasn't been active in 5 years or something, or 10 years, right? Like you can find those. You can't like search for it, but they exist and you can find it. Like there was one.
You mean the dude that lost it?
No, not Bitcoin. Shiba Inu coin.
What?
Shiba Inu coin.
Okay, well, all right.
Dogecoin spinoff.
Say that a bunch of times.
Shiba Inu coin.
Yeah.
Shiba
Inu coin.
There was a guy who bought it. I guess they were saying it's the greatest trade of all time because he bought like I don't know, like $5,000 worth of it a year ago, and then it became like a meme after Dogecoin, and he had like $1 billion worth of it in the account, but the account was inactive. Someone just noticed the account because it had a certain number, and someone was like, "Oh shit, this is a couple $1,000 purchase that became worth $1 billion."
Jeez.
And so, you don't know if that person actually had access to that, if it was like a thing that they did and forgot about it, or what happened, if they lost the computer hard drive, you don't really know.
It's like losing the winning lottery ticket, man.
Yeah.
Just kill yourself.
Yeah, I know. At that point,
just go make it again. Go get the next.
Hey, just do it again.
Go get the next bullshit coin.
The next BS coin that what's his name was talking about.
Well, what art?
No, the other guy. He's talking about like some LGBT coin.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a character.
No, he's a pretty smart guy, but he gets on into tangents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know anything about that coin. I just think. Oh, so you heard about the one that was a pyramid scheme, though, eh? There was one that was attached to a pyramid scheme. It was like.
I think there's been a lot that have been like that.
Well, there was one that was famous that I know of. I watched the whole thing about it. Whatever. I'm sure there are a bunch that they're pump and dump.
Yeah.
Garbage. But this one was like tied. This was tied to essentially a pyramid scheme type thing. It's not like a legitimate pump and dump type of thing. It was
like
just
the
worth
BitConnect
zero. Thing? Yeah, BitConnect. That's what it was.
BitConnect.
Yeah, BitConnect.
Yeah, that was a pyramid scheme.
That was an absolute pyramid scheme.
I don't even know what was that. Was that like an alternative coin that was?
It was based on an alternative lifestyle, maybe, or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but
I
it
don't
was
even remember.
something weird like that.
So many people got it onto it too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like
I think the guy, people went to jail for that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. That it was a pyramid scheme, right?
Yeah.
The difference with if you
there are ones that were pyramid schemes that probably nobody got caught for.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, if you do a pump and dump, I mean, okay, I mean that happens with everything. It happens.
Yeah.
That's a free market thing. If I release a coin and I call it bullshit coin, and people go, "Oh, I like the name of that," and they buy it, and I know it's worth nothing. It's worth whatever the time I.
Yeah, so you're just gonna sell your shares. You're like, well, fuck this.
Right,
this worthless thing is.
Yeah,
I now have $100 million of this worthless coin. I'm just gonna sell all of it.
You just push it out and you do whatever you're gonna do. Like
you're like, God damn.
I'm surprised you don't see more of that with people that like somebody like Kim Kardashian who has whatever. What's she got,
like
100 million followers.
Kardashian coin.
How many followers?
Why isn't there a Kardashian? Oh, a stupid amount.
That's what I'm saying. So you could immediately push it out, and if you got 1% of those followers to buy, or a fucking 1/10%.
Oh, it would make headline news.
It's massive. It's just massive.
Kim Kardashian released a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency. It would be.
Imagine if she tied
Everybody would know
into
about
something
it instantly.
Yeah, imagine, or someone like a Taylor Swift or something. She ties it into. She says, "Hey, if you buy this Bitcoin, you're gonna get like a such and such percentage off, like my concert tickets, and you're off my swag or something like that." And pushes it that way. Oh my God! Think about the kind of money.
What's going on with NFTs? That's just weird. I don't understand that.
He's the Beeple, I think his name is.
He was on Rogan.
Yeah, he's the guy that's made the most money at it. He's made like $100 million or something.
Yeah,
like something stupid like that.
Like I don't understand.
But he makes good ones.
NFTs.
It's digital art.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, why do you what? Because people think screenshot it.
Well, because people think that everything digital is going to be worth stuff because of everything, the metaverse and everything's going that way, right?
I mean, they're not wrong. I guess they haven't been wrong so far.
You know what? It's when the further and further you get away from real value of anything, so me saying to you, hey, I'm going to build you this table, you give me $500 for it. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to build you this table, and because you're good at X, you're going to do this for me.
Right, we're going to trade
service, right? Barter, the barter system that used to take place. Mm-hmm. The further and further we get away from that shit, we get into virtual crap. It's literally worth nothing.
It gets weird.
Yeah, but it's literally worth nothing.
Yeah, it is nothing.
If the power goes out, or if you lose your fucking hard drive, it's gone. You know what I mean? How do you lose a fucking house? You don't lose a house. Right?
Well, a tornado,
unless
maybe.
A tornado or something.
You can,
but you insure that shit. Right?
It's harder.
But I know, but then you have things like insurance and stuff, right? But it's real estate. Yeah. It's real property. It has real value. That's why a lot of people, like my buddy, or like a buddy of mine, will buy like hard assets.
Yeah,
a lot of people will do that, even though they're in that space. They still buy hard assets because they know
it's a good idea to
have you want to diversify,
tangible, right? Something that has a value, like a house. People need a place to live, right? So a house always has value.
Land always has value
in that regard. Yeah. So
because it's usable, you can do things on land, right?
Crypto and digital currencies and NFTs.
I know it's crazy. It spooks me, and I don't even like it. Like I honestly don't like this shit, but I know I have to kind of get involved in the space because
you got to think about it. Yeah, it's.
But my problem is by the time my silly ass gets into it, I've missed a lot of the boat. The boat's out. I'm trying to catch it. It's out of harbor.
Yeah.
So it's
You're looking at Bitcoin. What is it? $5 a share. You could be on a beach right now, surrounded by naked models.
Or we could be doing what I said. I could have 10 businesses that employ 1,000 people, and I'm the king of my little empire because I take care of everybody.
Yeah.
Honestly,
doing whatever the hell you want.
Right, exactly.
Is basically the gist.
That's
of
right.
If you had bought in Bitcoin and not sold it, which is a whole other thing. It's
Yeah.
harder to do.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like if let's say I at that time when it was around $5, if I said, okay, I'm going to spend 1,000, or I'm going to buy 1,000 Bitcoin, spend $5,000 on it, right? Take a flyer on it. By the time that thing hit 10, I'm probably going to sell half my placement, or some form of it. I might sell whatever. I might sell something to keep me. Take a lot of my money out.
You still half, right? And then you have your money back.
Because then you're playing with the house's money,
right?
Yeah.
And so
I probably would have
done
done
doubles
that.
again, and you just be like, oh, I'm just gonna take all of this.
All I'm saying is, unless that spike, like, so you saw the spike when it got up to about 100 and something. It stayed there for a little while. It wasn't going up like astronomically. It was staying there for a little while.
It was like 250, 260.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it didn't jump like crazy.
It was more stable.
until the end of 2017, 2018 is when it
really started to fly. Yeah.
Now, if you got it there, if you held it to that point, you might ride it for a while.
Yeah.
You're gonna ride that upswing and maybe sell it a little on the downswing because it's just human nature. So maybe like it goes up to like 20,000 and I sell it at 15,000 because I got a little greedy and I waited. Or I get smart and I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to sell it at 19,000, goes up to 20 and then dips. And I'm like, I'm a fucking stud.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
But that's only if you made it there.
Yeah.
You're
That's
probably
a hard,
never making
hard
it
place
there.
to get to.
And then if you sell it there, you're going to sell it all. Maybe you ride out a few coin. Like I'll keep 5 Bitcoin. And then you ride it out. So now you're riding it out to like 40,000. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I'll just take the ride all the way now.
Yeah.
But that thing has to go astronomical for you to make any real significant money. So it's one of those things, like you play with big money, you can make big money. You play with small money, the chances of you getting to that big money is it's a lottery ticket.
You saw everything's proportional, right? What's 10% of $1 million? Well, that's $100,000. That's a whole year taking care of living a great life. You make that same return on $1,000. What do you get? $100? Oh, whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Whoop-de-doo. A couple of pizzas.
A couple Papa John's pizzas is probably what you're thinking of right now.
Couple Papa John's orders, because I fucking get stupid orders. Get like 2 sides and the pizzas wasn't topping. Oh.
This podcast brought to you by Bud Light
and Papa John's.
and the idea of Papa John's.
The idea of Papa John's. maybe we'll get some Papa John's on here at some point. We'll
And the Screaming Goat.
The Screaming Goat. You cannot forget the Screaming Goat. He's an important member of the show.
That's right. That's right. You have one other thing to talk about Joe Rogan that I didn't know about.
This Ethan
Klein
thing.
guy. What's this all about?
I couldn't find a good enough article to really.
Tell me and tell any viewers what you're talking about.
Ethan Klein is a leftist.
Okay. What's he do?
Now he grew to fame on YouTube, maybe 2010 to 2015 era, doing comedy sketches.
Okay.
And he was hilarious. He was great at that. Really good at it, actually. He had a real knack for being funny. And then at a certain point, he kind of stopped doing that. And he kind of started a podcast and started doing the podcast instead. And kind of got into politics a little bit. At first, he wasn't into politics. Like, he interviewed Jordan Peterson at one point. It was a reasonable interview. He wasn't really too politically engaged. More recently, he's gotten more politically engaged. He's definitely become radicalized and super left wing, particularly around the COVID stuff. And here I'll see if I can pull up an image of him.
Oh, it just came up. Oh, no, it's Bitcoin. I thought I saw Ethan Klein, Rogan.
Bigfoot?
No, Bitcoin.
Okay.
I thought I just saw Ethan Klein and Joe Rogan or something in the search. Probably a hot search, maybe. I recognize this guy.
You've probably seen his videos because he was hilarious back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw. Actually, I may have saw him. I think I just saw his thing where he was talking to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, that was a long time ago though, that interview. But he's not a healthy person. He's a fat guy.
Oh, okay.
You can kind of see his gut there. He's bigger than that now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that there aren't any pictures of him, because he was always showing off his gut. You know, he's one of those people. But so he kind of he went after Joe Rogan, calling Joe Rogan unhealthy because Joe Rogan got cured from COVID.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Well, obviously that makes you unhealthy.
Yeah. So let's. I don't know if we can.
It's par for the course at this point. It's science, okay? And if you question this kind of science, then you're obviously against science.
Obviously, you're against Fauci. I mean science.
Yeah. He represents science, sir.
He is science.
He is science.
Yeah, this is probably the tweet that kind of got him.
I guess his wife likes doing science.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fauci's wife, yes.
She rides science a lot.
That's what I hear. Well, actually, I've heard it's been a minute, but
yeah, I'm guessing actually it's probably more like she gets sadly missionary positioned the shit out of by science.
By science, yeah. We'll see.
It's a very sad scientific experiment that's going on there at that house.
you don't want to see it. It's not the kind of thing you look for.
That's not science that anybody wants to really kind of check. You don't check that science. Let's just accept that science as settled.
Oh, just on a side note, I'm seeing a little post here. I guess Fauci admits that COVID hospitalizations are over counted now. So
he
admitted.
Yeah,
now they're not even denying that.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah. Well, they're gonna. It's gonna. Actually, maybe that's a good sign when they start doing the walk back. It might be a good sign. Might mean that it's starting to turn, right?
Yeah. Well,
because they want to be on the right side of it. You know what I mean?
Politicians in Denmark, I think, who were saying this Omicron thing is going to be the end of it. Because and I think there was some research recently that came out that suggested that Omicron it's milder than the flu.
Yeah. Well, they're predicting like a dark January essentially, like where it's going to be a lot of cases. And such.
But the cases aren't going to
right. But they're saying like in February it'll taper off. But I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. What I'm saying though is when you start to see like the walk back from all the people that were pushing the hard agenda, I think it's because they understand. Oh, you're going to explain this in a second. But I think they understand that it's coming to an end. So they want to now look like, oh no, we never really said that. We were always like middle of the road.
Oh yeah, they fucking play that game.
Yeah.
Let's see if
what's that fish there? Holy shit.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's got an interesting Instagram page.
Oh, is this?
That's Joe Rogan's Instagram. This is Ethan's Twitter over there. So I know. So basically, Joe Rogan did kind of put on a bit of weight at one point in time, and then he went on the carnivore diet, and
he talks about that shit openly.
Yeah. Does he have a
See, that's the thing about Rogan. He's not like, he never tries to say that he's like he's ripped or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but he is.
Well, but he is at times, and sometimes he's not. I think he fluctuates a lot.
Oh yeah, I think
he's a big guy.
Everybody does.
But he's a big guy who like carries
I'm trying to see if he had a more up to date image of himself on Instagram. It doesn't look like he does. But so basically Ethan was making, because first off, you can see like he's got some abs in there.
Yeah. Right.
Like he's clearly got developed muscles.
He basically has a body type like my brother used to have. Like in that picture there.
Yeah. No, he has lost the excess weight since then because he went on the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Ethan there though, as he's trying to make that comparison, if he took his shirt off there, he looks nothing like that.
Obviously.
You know, nothing like Joe Rogan. You see, he puts on a little weight. Okay, he's in out of shape. He's He's an in shape fat guy.
He's 54 fucking years old too.
Yeah, but he puts on some weight. You know, he's an in shape fat guy. Ethan is just a fat guy.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's completely out of shape, and so he kind of got ratioed on Twitter because he was calling Joe Rogan unhealthy, and a whole point of his the whole reason that he did that was because basically because Joe Rogan doesn't want to get the vaccine because he has natural immunity because he got COVID and then he didn't have it anymore. Yeah. He got healthy after a couple days.
Yeah,
and this is this psychosis thing, where it's like, oh, he's the other, so I'm going to attack him because he's the other. Yeah, it's like
I love I love how you see this kind of shit, and because this guy has, I don't know how many followers this Ethan
a couple millions.
Yeah, okay, so he has a couple million followers.
Of
those followers, how many of those people do you think believe everything he says?
Everything. He's got 3 million subscribers on YouTube.
Okay, so let's say he has
believe everything Ethan says.
It's probably maybe 25%. Maybe
I don't know that it's fair to say that anybody believes everything
that's
anybody says.
This is what I'm saying though, but, or like primarily agrees with him. They might just
primarily agrees. Yeah, it's probably a good percentage of his regular audience, which isn't going to be 3 million people. It's going to be like, okay, he does podcasts. Hold on, I can.
What I'm saying. So here's my point. Without popping numbers in it. Here's my point. What I'm saying is that there are a lot of people that follow people and don't follow them for anything political or any of that shit, or that they think anything of what they're doing. Like they just literally are entertained by that person. So they just follow them for that reason, right? So just because he says a certain thing doesn't mean that everybody thinks what he says is true or believes him or anything. They just don't care. They're just like, whatever. It's like Rogan. I'm sure a lot of people watch Rogan and go, I don't necessarily agree with him or disagree with him. Like, I'm just like, meh, whatever. Like, I like that he talks to interesting people about some interesting shit. And they might not watch a podcast when he's talking to somebody who they're not interested in. They're like, oh, I'm like, he just did a podcast with Carrot Top.
Yeah.
That was interesting for me just because I didn't know Carrot Top was worth the money he's worth, number one. You know that guy's worth like over 70 million?
Is he really?
Yeah, he's got a net worth of like 75 million or something.
Know that.
Right.
They talk about that?
Yeah. Well, no, they don't talk about it. He doesn't talk about his money, but I looked him up.
Okay.
But he has he's had a very long-term tenure in Vegas.
Okay.
At the Luxor in Vegas.
That's what he's doing now?
Yeah. But he makes like $8 million a year from the Luxor in Vegas.
Wow.
He does like 6 nights a week or something. I had no idea he was still relevant at all.
Yeah.
And he's not at all. Like
I guess that's why he's not relevant, because he's just doing this in one spot, right?
You didn't see the podcast, right? Do you remember when Carrot Top was tanked all over?
No, but I saw the thumbnail.
Yeah, he got all tanked out at one point.
Yeah.
He's shriveled right down.
Oh, yeah?
He's lost probably about 50 pounds.
Really?
He's down to about 135 pounds or something.
Really?
Yeah. Clearly it was steroids.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say anything about it, right? It's funny because Joe kind of like touched on it a bit, and he was like, oh, I was just working out a lot, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't challenge him. I wanted Joe to say, get out of here, man. You were taking something.
Yeah.
But he didn't challenge him. So they must have pre-talked about that, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like he probably said, look, I don't want you to
call me out
on that or any of that kind of shit, because clearly he fucking took steroids.
Yeah.
You
don't lose
tanked out 50 fucking pounds on his frame. He's not that kind of guy. And he looked weird. He looked weird when he was that size.
Looked big.
But he looked odd for his size. Like he looked like a guy who was juicing.
Yeah.
Like anybody who juices, you look at them and go, if they juice right, because I know guys that have taken steroids and they don't work out right, so they don't really look like they take steroids. It's a very funny sort of thing.
Why would you do that?
Exactly.
Isn't the whole point, like, I don't really fully understand steroids. Maybe different ones do different things, but isn't the whole point that it kind of gives you, like, it just gives you more, like, energy? It gives you more of a...
that's a side effect to it too. There's different types of steroids, right?
So you work out on steroids, you're going to get a better workout in.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of it, but then also it helps you develop.
It's not necessarily you get a better workout like that, because you get an amazing workout. Like, I've never taken steroids, and I've got amazing workouts different times depending on what you're eating and when you eat and all that kind of stuff, right? It's more about the anabolic effects on your body. It ramps up muscle growth. It ramps up testosterone in your body. Every different effect that's happening in your body is on steroids. You know what I mean? Like, it's doing some crazy shit. But if you're not doing anything, if you're not eating a shit ton and you're not working out or anything, it's really not doing much of anything.
Yeah.
It's just ramping up your testosterone and stuff. You're probably getting some weird mood swings and shit.
Right.
You're getting all that bullshit, but you're really not getting a lot of effect from it. So you do have to work out and eat and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But the way you can tell when somebody has been on steroids and they haven't, then they get off steroids, is the absolute
just falls off.
fast decline, because it comes off just as fast as it went on.
Right.
That's why these guys can't stop taking steroids. And then their body stops producing testosterone, because you're
it's artificial testosterone essentially,
so your body
doesn't think it needs it. Yeah.
Right. So but anyways, clearly he was on steroids, but he didn't say anything to him about that. But it was an interesting podcast. Like, he's kind of an interesting character, and I'm glad I watched it, because I was like, this is a dude that I really had a different perspective about before the podcast. And I watch it now, I'm like, oh, he's kind of a normal guy, and he seems like
there's a lot of people who
and he's been in comedy since before Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah,
since '84 or something.
Fucking
a long fucking time, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that old even. Like, it's just a lot of stuff like that. Like when you're watching, you're like, oh fuck, I didn't know this, and it's neat to get that information, right? So, but my point about that is, I think a lot of people watch like Joe Rogan's podcast because of that. Like, I think a lot of people, they don't care about him being political or on any side of anything. They're just glad that he's having some cool conversations with some cool people.
Yeah, I think that's what got him to where he is today.
Right.
You know, it's the conversations, and I wish he talked to more UFO people.
Yeah. There's a few people I kind of wish he would.
He's had some good conversations.
There's a few people I wish he would bring on the podcast and talk to. Some really interesting people that I think would be cool.
Early on, he had the Ancient Aliens guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's cool. I used to love that show.
Yeah, oh man, it's a crazy show.
Yeah,
I feel like there's some stuff to it though.
Do I love about that show though? It's like, this here, and if so, is always like this. Like, it was every time they were saying something, it was never concrete. But like, this could have happened, and if so, it was this. That's how they get around everything, right? But it was cool. It was interesting the way they That was where I first kind of came up with the. Although it's not, like, I didn't come up with it, but where I first sort of introduced myself or started to think about inventionism theory, right?
I don't know about that. What's inventionism theory?
That we were created by aliens.
Like that we were genetically engineered?
Yeah, like basically, like we could have been like almost like test tube babies of another alien race, and they planted us on this planet.
So what do you think is more likely? Do you think that, we were just put here, like set here randomly at one point, or do you think, like, as human beings or as close to human beings, or do you think that something came here and modified
fuck
DNA?
With monkeys.
Yeah, fuck with monkeys. Yeah, okay, that's what I think is possible.
Yeah, that's interventionism or inventionism. Interventionism.
More,
that's what it is. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things to point to that as being very, like, not even just possible, quite plausible.
Maybe likely.
Yeah, like very plausible at least, right?
Yeah.
When you look at like things like the position of like the Great Pyramids and stuff, just all these kinds of things that they did that looked like they were outside of the scope of engineering that they had at the time,
but
they're perfect, and they do different things where they like I don't know, don't quote me on this kind of thing, but like where openings will actually point to a specific star system or something.
Yeah,
like
the pyramids point to a specific place, which is they don't anymore because it's shifted. But when they were built, it was
the Earth has changed off its axis. So.
Yeah, because it shifts over time. But it's really weird to think how a lot of that stuff. You could have a lot of lost technology. You could have lost abilities. Like people, maybe we don't. There was an interesting idea that I heard. I don't remember where I heard it, but it could have something to do with acoustics. I guess the idea would be that you'd have, I don't know, however many people surrounding one of the giant stones, right? And it would be through some kind of like song that they would create a frequency,
right? And
that frequency would possibly allow for to decrease the mass of the object, or like it would have some weird effect, because we're discovering that now, where there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on around certain frequencies and certain, it's hard to understand, mostly because nobody understands anything. and we're just trying to make sense of what we have. But there's some interesting ideas about how quite possibly we have abilities that we don't really understand, or that we don't know how to use at all. Partly because it's been lost through history, but then also because just it's something that would be scoffed at, by a sort of a modern person. So yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Well, there's definitely, like, when you look at the fossil records, it supports creationism, right? It supports all that kind of stuff. Where it just doesn't support the timelines for like different ideas of creationism, like God and such, right? Where they say like 6,000 years. The Bible says 6,000 years. As far as the fossil records, it doesn't support that. As far as what we believe the fossil records to show, right? Like, we don't carbon dating. It's, I don't know. Science swears upon carbon dating, but there's also counter science, would say, or whatever, or pseudoscience.
Yeah, there is contention a lot.
Right, that says that they might be wrong. You got to pee. Yes, yeah, this is about the same time all the time. You realize it's like time. Maybe the hour. That's cyclical. What are we at? Like the hour 45 mark. Maybe you should pee before the podcast.
Listen, don't tell me how to live.
Man, you know what? Why don't you run like Buddy did? You said. So I'm podcasting by myself. This feels like my regular life. I just sit in front of the camera and talk to myself about my sad situation. Can you still hear me? You can't hear me. Can't hear me over his violent piss sounds. Yeah. So I'll just sit here and do this until he comes back. And if through the power of editing, if he somehow figures out how to edit a video, since he does it all, we'll edit this out. If not, you're welcome. Oh, he's washing his hands, though. This is a good thing. I think. You washing your hands?
I'm not done.
Holy shit. He's got the longest piss ever. You're going to have to figure out a way to edit this out of the video, though. This kind of stuff is awful for people that have to watch. Just me sitting here, talking to the camera.
There we go. I gave him a spritz just for you.
Now, just maybe don't touch anything.
What's that?
Just maybe don't touch anything.
Don't touch anything?
Yeah, I gotta get. Fucking gross. What's the matter with you? I'm going to stab you. Whoa. I'm going to stab you in the neck with a knife.
Oh, no, not with a knife. Anything but a knife.
That's like Robin Hood, the old Robin Hood back in the, I think, late 80s or early 90s or something like that. He says the one that he's like, I'm going to cut his heart out with a spoon. But he goes, oh, boy. Why a spoon? He goes, because it would hurt more, you idiot. Yeah. That's good. Fair. It's a good line.
Yeah. Wouldn't be fun.
You want to fuck with somebody.
Yeah.
Cut him with a spoon, man. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go in well.
It won't. No, it'll be messy. It'll be messy.
Yeah. Have you ever even tried to, like, eat, like, hard ice cream?
Yeah.
That spoon doesn't go in there very well. Imagine what it'd be like really against skin. Yeah. No, thanks. Anyways. What was I talking about before you so rudely
left?
The aliens and shit. But I thought I had a specific point to make up. Oh, yeah. My point is the fossil record, right? So, like, the fossil record supports.
He's been dating a Christian girl, so now he's all, creationist.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. No, it's funny because I've always said because that's why I'm agnostic. I'm open.
Right.
I don't have any horses in any of the races. I'm open to new information always. I don't swear off religion. Well, the only thing that makes me swear off religion is the fact that there are so many different ones.
We'll have
which one do you pick?
We'll have a DMT trip report soon for the podcast.
Yeah, we'll see if I get religious after that.
Well,
I'll see maybe the elves are a representation of God.
No, see, you just touched on an idea that goes way deeper than you think in the psychedelic culture.
It always does. I can say any kind of weird fucking thing, and you're gonna say that back to me. Right? It's like, so I can say, but the idea. So like triangles, if you look at them in the right light, they actually become circular. Be like, just so you know in the DMT happens. Space,
triangles don't exist. No, there's a lot of reason to believe that a lot of our mythical culture, our supernatural sort of myths and legends and folklore are heavily inspired by psychedelic experiences and sort of entities and beings that are encountered on psychedelics. So it's not that a particular one is like representative of God or anything, but it's that like, whatever an angel is or something, right? Like I showed you in one of our earlier podcasts, the biblically accurate angel. Yeah. I've seen that. So it's like, that's clearly creepy. It's a representation of something that's creepy, that people have seen.
If they look like that, holy shit.
Yeah, it's not really, not like, it's different.
It's not like aesthetically pleasing.
It's different when you're in that space. It's, it makes more sense when you're there. I think partly because it's higher dimensional. Monkey can't really comprehend it, can't wrap its head around what's actually going on.
You just call me a monkey?
You are absolutely a monkey. You might be less than a monkey. You might be like a mun.
I'm very upset about this.
You freaking chimp.
Oh. I'm like,
you go into the DMT space
actually
and
the smarter ones?
They're pretty smart.
I thought they were one of the smarter ones. So you just basically called me the smartest monkey.
Yeah, I mean, aside from humans.
Well, so you're not a chimp though.
You're more like
a baboon or something.
I'm like a human being, and you're like a baboon.
Chimp. You're a baboon. Big dumb baboon who can't hold his bladder.
Well, yes, that's true.
Can't hold his pee.
That's accurate.
Although that was the longest pee I've ever heard.
I had a lot in there. All right.
The washroom is just back
that way, right
it's there. So like, if I think these microphones are probably good enough to pick up the sound.
Yeah, you probably got my stream in there.
Yeah, I actually thought it was the sink.
After a certain amount of time,
you're like, no, I'm still peeing.
I'm still going. It's still coming out. It's still big.
More than 2 shakes, man. It's just shaking. Shaking. Yeah. You're right though. As far as correlating DMT experiences with sort of extraterrestrials and stuff, I think it all kind of blends. Like there is.
Well, I think it's all independent. I think there's, you got the
but I think you get crossover blending.
Like I think there's a lot of people that it's weird there are people that are like married to the idea that the UFO phenomenon is interdimensional, or the alien abduction phenomenon is interdimensional, or it's extraterrestrial. And I think it's probably both.
Or it could be just maybe it's Steve and his buddies that have maybe they knocked out Travis and took him to a place and stuck things in him.
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
And he came out of the date.
I think there's reasons to believe that he made that story up, but there are other credible stories. And but the interesting thing is about lost time, and there are alien abduction stories. There was a guy, I forget what podcast he went on. It might have been like that UFO podcast, and I was listening to it. And he's a guy that has been abducted apparently a lot over his life, but it isn't like they come to him.
That's funny though. It's like. Yeah. That's either really fucking unlucky. It's like somebody you've heard that's been hit by lightning like twice.
Well, no, not if they're after him specifically.
No, I'm
like if he's like a test subject.
Well, I'm saying it seems like that. Like he's just unlucky. They're like they keep
wrong
going,
place, wrong time.
Well, they just
every
keep picking
time
him because maybe he's very agreeable.
Yeah, but
he doesn't squirm.
But the thing about his experience is it's not. It sounds more interdimensional. Because it's not so much that like, oh, here comes the UFO and they're taking me up and I'm in the spaceship. What he describes his experience sounds more like a DMT trip, where he'll feel it coming on. There's like some kind of noise or something in his mind, and he knows what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden he's there. And so that sounds more like a psychedelic thing, which would imply that it's more interdimensional or. Well, yeah, and on a level at least that is interdimensional. But then there are many other stories where it's much more physical.
Does he admit to taking DMT or?
I don't know that. I don't think that he's. I don't know. I don't know if they asked him about whether or not he's done any substances like that. But
I don't know. I mean, DMT is a natural. Like our bodies naturally produce it.
Yeah,
so
some of the stories could just be a natural DMT dump, some kind of genetic thing. That
maybe he for some reason. Yeah. Like his body creates more of that shit somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, or randomly at
exactly.
random points of time. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? There's too much of that. There's too much of that for me to explain. That's why I have a hard time. We've talked about this before. Why I have a hard time with the whole outer worldly or
Let me
whatever
get you
experience.
in there.
Yeah, but
Let me get you in there.
Even the one experience that I had,
Just
the
talk
small
to
experience that I
elves.
had.
Yeah, you dipped your toes in.
What I'm saying, but even with that, it was like I can rationalize the idea that my brain was doing this. The thing I had that I find a little more fantastic, it's not that it's hard to believe, but a little more fantastic, a little cooler to me, is the visual acuity and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I've
weird.
never seen like
that's
that
really
before.
weird. That's really weird to me.
my
The
eyes
fact that
were
you could take a drug and see better.
Yeah,
I
my
don't.
eyes were unbelievable. I couldn't believe how well I was seeing.
Yeah.
Like that was the weirdest thing for me. It felt like all of my senses were heightened. Like my
They are.
hearing. Like remember, I kept saying
they
the
are.
light. I kept
All of them.
saying I was seeing the light come in this way when it was probably just the light from the.
It could very well have been cars
From
going
the
by
other-
that you were like sensing. Yeah, it's weird. It gets weirder when you have like, I've had experiences where like I don't know, maybe the distance from me to that guitar over there. I'm here. My body is here, but
it
my
feels like you're right
perspective
beside it.
is over there, looking at me over here.
Yeah.
But still like able to move and control. I remember because I dropped my keys and I was picking up my keys, but I was over there watching myself. But I was controlling myself.
Yeah.
But I was seeing it from over there, and I was trying to. It was weird.
While you were while you were tripping, you mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of shrooms.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, but that's like like how is that possible?
Yeah.
It's a really baffling experience. Not to make any statements about.
Is it some kind of maybe projection of what you think you look like?
I mean, it could be, but it's weird when you're quite literally seeing yourself from across
Yeah.
the room, and you're like, huh.
Well, it's like
I'm not
dreams. Dreams
seeing
are
through
fucking
my
weird.
eyes. Dreams are weird.
Dreams are fucking weird.
Dreams
Like
are weird.
especially like, so everybody, I don't remember a lot of my dreams. Shut
It's weird
the
when you see
fuck
the.
up. I don't remember a lot of my dreams. Right. I'll only remember a dream
I'm
once every.
getting ready to. Okay, you see my.
No eating, asshole.
That's what I give myself when I don't want to eat anything, but I do.
You're
an
telling
edible.
yourself not to eat asshole? You shouldn't eat asshole. Like that's a
It's
good.
dirty.
That's a good plan, buddy.
Yeah, I write that down for
That's where
myself.
poop comes
what I
from.
do. But I'm gonna start writing down my dreams.
Dreams.
I
But-
haven't written any down.
Yeah, that's my
but
point though. My point about dreams is
start
like
writing them down.
you'll have dream like so. Let's say someone like me, I only remember maybe a dream every couple weeks or something, right?
I dream every night now.
I don't.
Almost,
So let's say
yeah.
I remember a
multiple
dream once every couple weeks. Out of those dreams, so let's say I'm remembering 26 dreams a year. Out of those 26, there might be like 2 that are really vivid and really like where I have that feeling of it feels absolutely real. And after I wake up, I have to tell myself that was a dream. Or even sometimes
Oh, yeah, I
I'm
have
confused
that.
to the point where I'm like, did that happen? Or was that a dream? Like I'm like, and I'll almost be convinced that it was actually something that happened. It usually happens with like an interaction with somebody or something. I'm like, oh shit, Tyler and I got in a fight about that fucking thing. But wait, why did we get in a fight about that thing? And it'd be like,
Once you start thinking about it, you're like, wait, none of that makes any sense.
right, and then I break it down and I go, wait, that didn't even fucking happen. I
Yeah.
didn't see Tyler yesterday.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck am I talking
Yeah.
about? But
It's-
it takes all of that step back. So you can imagine what like a DMT experience would be like, right? Inside of your own head.
Can't imagine.
What I'm
That's the
saying though,
point.
because
But,
if that's
yeah.
happening in your dream, and you're seeing shit, but it's projections in your mind, why isn't the same thing happening when you're on a DMT experience? That you could project yourself
It's possible.
over there.
Doesn't make sense for the body to invest those kinds of resources like that, like for like
it might be doing that though to protect your mind, right? Because like dreams, apparently that's a part of what dreams are doing. They're
That's what
keeping,
they say.
keeping
But
your mind
really, we don't,
active.
Really, we don't understand.
Well, there's-
I have literally seen the future in dreams, like unquestionably. Like I should have.
But it did come.
Yeah, no,
fruition?
literally, yeah, no, like numbers to a T.
Maybe you're clairvoyant. Maybe
On,
you're like
on two separate occasions, one particular stock, Mike's stock that he told me about, Nano Dimensions.
Yeah.
In a dream, I saw it down. It was like I saw the numbers. It was down like 8.6% or something like that.
Yeah.
And the very next day, that's what it bottomed out at. That number, that 8.6. I remember I opened the app and I saw it at that number. I'm like, oh shit! And then it went up a little bit. It finished the day down maybe like 7% or something like that. But I'm like, I saw that.
But when
number.
you opened it, it was at 8.6.
Yeah, like I saw
That's
I saw the number that I saw in my dream that the stock was down.
Yeah.
And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, maybe I should trade that just to see. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that too. That feels foolish, right?
Yeah.
But then you see it happen. It's like, oh, that's weird. That's really weird. And that happened twice.
Stuff
Another
like that
time it was
is
like,
weird and really hard.
Doesn't
to
make
explain.
sense.
Like you can't explain.
Doesn't make
it.
any
Like,
sense.
You could try and explain it, but really you're not doing it justice. I think.
No. I think it's better to just talk about how it happens, right? Like that it happens. And then,
yeah, I agree. Like, cause I've had some weird experiences in my life that at the time when they happened, I gave it to God because I was a little more in that sort of realm of believing, right?
Well, I had an experience that I don't necessarily want to get into, but it at the time I didn't think too much of it. I just thought that I just kind of realized something on my own. Now, to me, I would describe it more as divine intervention.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just so baffling that it was such a profound thing.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, hold on. You know, that can't. It seems almost foolish to be like, no, that was all me.
So I think everybody has those kinds of experiences, right? And
Yeah.
some people give them to different things. Like some people will say it's God, some people will say it's coincidence or whatever. Or then the egotistical type people will say, I did this, I controlled. The fuck out of here. There's too many spinning plates for you to control them all. But whatever it was, I agree with you. Just see it's more to rather than to try explain what caused that or what happened. It's just explain.
It's like this happened.
The thing that happened, right?
Because you want all the data, right? You want all the data. You want to be like, okay, this person experienced.
Don't start putting assumptions to it because
exactly.
then you leave your mind
because
closed.
you don't understand.
Right.
Really, at the end of it, you don't understand what's actually happening or how any of it ties together. I had a fucking weird dream the other night. Scary, kind of, almost. I don't know. Man, it's weird. I think this dream speaks a lot to my personality, but it was like, it was so weird because I was in my apartment, and it was all everything went black, like my eyes weren't working, and I was like reaching for the light switch. I was flicking the light switch and nothing was happening. So it was almost like blindness, right? Nothing was happening, just blindness, and then out of this darkness, I just felt like this fucking. I could feel the presence of like a forearm to hand, like grabbing the back of my head and like trying to fight with me. And then like I was like fighting with it, and like I didn't, because it was such a weird metaphysical thing that like I didn't really know. I remember being kind of consciously aware, like I don't really know how you fight something like this,
right.
but I was resisting and everything. And it was, and then I woke up. I was like, the fuck was that?
It's creepy when you have those kinds of dreams.
Yeah. Because that was almost like an actual encounter with some kind of dark entity or being. But then it's like, I wonder if, because like I said, like my reaction to that kind of experience is like, okay, well I'm fighting now, right? Like something's attacking me or something, and now I'm fighting.
Your fight goes.
What if you just fucking go into fucking horror, terrified? I can't do anything. What happens?
Yeah.
You know what happens to you?
A lot of people would, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
I know.
Like it's your fight or flight.
I know, and maybe that's how possession happens.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's what the fucking arm grabbing the back head and like, because it was like trying to push me down or something. I don't know what was fucking going on.
I had the freakiest dream I had in recent memory. I was running from something I couldn't see that had a gun. I assume this person, but I couldn't see them.
Right.
And they were shooting.
You just knew it was there.
And they're like, they just missed me with the bullet. I'm like, fuck, but I can't see them. And I'm running, and I run into a house, and I'm thinking I'm okay, and then a bullet streams by me again. I'm like, holy fuck. And then, so I end up going, I'm running through the house, and I end up finding this closet. And this house is fucking huge, by the way. Like, this house is a never-ending fucking house.
Right, just never-ending maze of rooms.
It's weird. It was like, of course, your stupid mind. Then I get to this giant closet, and I get in this closet, and I close the door. And then the lights go out, and the door opens, and all I can see is the gun.
That's it?
Yeah. And
like a floating gun, or like sticking
literally,
through?
like the gun comes around the corner like this, but I can't see a hand, I can't see a person or anything. And all of a sudden, I just see the light from the gun, and I wake up.
Interesting.
But I was fucking terrified. Like, I woke up terrified.
Yeah.
I was like, I couldn't, and the way I kind of summed it up in my head, I was like, because I'm the type of person that I'm a fighter more than a flight type person, right? But if I can't see the enemy, that scares the fuck out of me.
Oh yeah, no, I have that too. That's why ghost movies scare me the most out of anything.
Well,
like Paranormal Activity.
They do and they don't. I don't believe them. So, but if
but like when I watch a movie, like I think this is important too. A lot like when I watch a movie, I can get into the movie.
You get right into it, yeah.
Right, like because I can put aside everything that I know about reality and narrative and everything. I'm like, okay,
I can't.
This is this whoever made this is telling a story. So like I'm there with you for this story. So like the paranormal, I understand like it's a ridiculous sort of story, but those movies scare me because the entire premise is something that you can't see, you can't touch, you can't do anything to, but yet it has this like supernatural ability to do all those things to you.
Yeah.
Right. Like it can grab you and pull you somewhere, and you can't resist it. It's like a lot stronger than you, and you can't hurt it. You
can't grab it. Like how are you gonna?
You can't grab it. You can't fight it. You can't resist it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's interesting, I just googled it. Like they say that when you're being chased in a dream, it's generally it usually means that you're avoiding something, some issue or person or problem or something in your life. Which is when
they break down dreams, it's pretty interesting. Like so, I told you one of the common dreams I have is I'm losing my teeth. That's very common.
Oh, so that's a recurring theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that too.
Yeah,
though. I've had the teeth.
That one's stupid common.
It's always like something like a loose tooth.
Yeah, like one's loose all of a sudden, and I'll go, oh my god, and then all of a sudden like 3 or 4 of them, I'm like.
I'll start panicking or something.
Yeah, me too.
I have that.
That's stupid common. That's like one of the most common ones apparently. It's something to do with insecurity on something.
I have another dream that I don't necessarily want to talk about. That's a recurring theme. But,
for another podcast when you feel more comfortable after a DMT experience or something. I think that's a pretty good place to end the podcast today.
Yeah, we'll on the dream.
We'll end it on the weird dream topics. It'll be a little soundbite we can make out of that.
Yeah. Dreams are wild.
Absolutely. But we should plug ourselves. We should start getting the idea of plugging our podcast here from time to time. Let people know that they should subscribe.
You definitely should subscribe.
If you catch this.
Comment,
we will talk about shit that you'll like
live.
at some point.
At some point, we'll hit it. Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get better.
We'll try to get some guests at some point, too.
We'll get less annoying.
Maybe
we'll replace ourselves with people that you'll like.
Yeah, better people.
If we start making money, we can hire people that you'll like better.
No, if we start making money, we'll give it to you. That's a message from.
And you'll like
podcast.
us better.
You'll like us more. We'll pay you to be our friends.
we had jokes like that all the time as I was growing up about friendship fees.
Oh yeah, friendship fees.
Yeah, so you'll all be our friends. We'll pay you.
You'll